Welcome to another episode of Reverse Ambition, a podcast that features those who take a leap of faith to follow their dreams and passion. My name is Kelsey Cooper, aka the Social Broker. I'm excited to speak to this brother right here. I've known him for years. I met him when I was working down by Wall Street. He entered the Army in 2011, 2008. He got into real estate as a part-time basis, and 2017 he decided to take a leap to really manage his portfolio in 5 boroughs in New York City. So I want to hear more about him and his journey. So please welcome Mr. Scadi Etienne. What's up, brother?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
I'm good, man. Thank you, man. Thank you for getting on here, sharing your story. I think your journey is amazing. It's inspirational. I feel like when people hear it, they're gonna like, "Dang, I could do that." You know what I'm saying? Because you've done it. You know what I'm saying? So let's start. Let's get it started. Walk me through your journey. Starting from where you from, where you grew up, where you went to school, what you majored in, and we go from there.
Okay, cool. First and foremost, thank you for having me. I've listened to several of your podcasts, and I've known you. I was thinking about it before this podcast, and it's been about 15 years because I started working
It's been a minute.
down around Wall Street in 2006, and as you all know, it's 2001, 2021 right now, so that's exactly 15 years. So it's been it's been a journey. It's been a journey to say the
Yes,
least.
sir.
But
And
I'm glad we
I
connected.
watched you, grow as an entrepreneur. And I saw you and your 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 buddy Jude on Instagram. I was like, yo, this dude is doing it. I love him on the podcast. So appreciate you for coming on, man.
Yeah, thanks again. Thanks again, Kelsey.
Yeah, yes. Oh, so my bad. I interrupted. You about to tell your journey and stuff like that. My bad.
So my journey, I'm born and raised New Yorker. Born in Brooklyn, raised in Brooklyn. I even went to Brooklyn College. So, that just gives you, just the localization in terms of where I'm from. I'm from Brooklyn. I actually still live in Brooklyn,
Hmm.
and only right now I'm starting to think: is there life outside of Brooklyn, Kelsey? I know you left. Is there life outside of Brooklyn, Kelsey?
Yeah, I snuck out, man. I snuck out, but I definitely I'm always will be always be a Brooklynite. You know what I'm saying? I'm a
Yeah.
diehard Knicks fan. I like the direction the Knicks are going right now.
Yeah,
That young point
yeah.
guard is on. That
I
young.
actually watched the game last night, and I'm not gonna say I'm excited because the Knicks they
I
always
know.
break my heart, but like we're going in the right direction, and hopefully in a couple of years that we can really compete.
Listen, they look better than they look better than they've looked in a long time. And I'm glad how they're building it. They're building it from young talent instead of doing some horrible trades like they've done in the past. But this is not a sports show. It's about you.
Oh, you said because we can go all day. We can go all day.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be another podcast.
Yeah, no, but in all seriousness, though, born and raised in New York, born and raised in Brooklyn, Brooklyn College. You said I joined the army like right after the towers came down. Like couple, the towers came down September 11th, 2001.
That's crazy.
I I joined the army February 25th,
Wow.
2002.
What made you do that?
Literally not literally, the exact day before my 21st birthday.
Wow.
Like I just wanted to
You weren't
I,
scared,
something. Was I scared? Not really.
Okay.
Like growing up in the mean streets of Brooklyn, New York in the '90s,
Facts.
things happen. Things
Facts.
happen. So with that being said, like after the towers came down, I was in college. I was in school in Brooklyn, and I just couldn't believe it. And I just knew that I was young, and I love America. To this day, I love America,
Mm-hmm.
and not sure how much America loves me, but that's a different podcast as well.
That's
But
another
but the point
podcast.
but the point being is, like I felt like I could do more for my country. I could do more. So,
Mm.
the day before my 21st birthday, I joined, and like to be honest with you, it was one of the best decisions of my life
Word?
because yeah, absolutely, because just being in Brooklyn, never having left, didn't go away for college,
Mm.
the army really allowed me to just leave my environment and see how other parts of the U.S. are, how people from a different states are, and like my army experience, like basic training, AIT, which is the training that teaches you job. Like it was difficult, but I was able to persevere. And then I decided well, and then I was a reservist. So a reservist is 1 week in a month and 2 weeks in the summer. That's what I
So
signed
you
up
didn't get
for.
deployed and all at all?
Hold on, time out, right? Let's take a
Okay,
step
my
back,
bad,
right?
my bad.
So December, so I joined February 2002, and December 2003, they told me I had to go. I was like, where? They said, we're activating you to go to Iraq, and
Wow.
just get your stuff in order. And it was about December 13th that I was told, and I would be shipping out sometime in January. Mind you, I'm in college. I'm a regular college kid. It just happened during the army, so it was a culture shock. But like we were able to be prepared, and I spent from January 2004 to March 2005. I spent the whole time in Iraq, and
Wow.
it was
How
just
was your family? How did they feel?
oh, my Haitian mother was none too pleased. But the truth
I
is,
could
like,
imagine.
I just felt like there was more that I could do,
Hmm.
and like the towers came down. Being from New York, and it was so iconic. And then watching them come down and realizing that, hey, listen, I'm young, I'm able. If someone's gonna help defend my country, it should be
Wow.
me.
Wow.
So that's the reason why I joined.
That's
And
dope.
like again, to this day, it's one of the best decisions of my life because it really allowed me to see different parts of the world, allowed me to have a worldly view of things, allowed me
Hmm.
to not just basically see things in American centric view, and not let me see things with American filters.
Mm.
So
How was the Iraq
yeah.
experience? How was that?
Iraq was like, I'll break it down for you like this, right? December 2002, I was in college. I went to my drill, which is the training for that month, and they told me on that Sunday that I was going to Iraq. Mind you, I don't drink, I don't do anything, so on the
Mm.
ride home, I was nervous, I was sweating
I could
bullets.
imagine. I could imagine.
Yeah, I was nervous. I'm like, wow, what's going on? Like Iraq is
Right.
the war just started, so I was in wave 1.5. The war just started, and I was like,
Mm.
wow, what's gonna happen? But I have my faith, and I also knew that like if something were to happen to me, my family would be taken care of. I took care of my will. I made sure
Mm.
that my loved ones would be taken care of, and I also said, listen, I can die on the streets of Brooklyn, New York, with no
Mm.
life insurance, with no nothing, or I can be out there, and if something happens, like if it's my time, it's my time. If it's my
Mm.
time, I can die in the bed, or I can die in a gunfight in Iraq. Either way, it's my time.
Right.
So and then once you get out there, you're not really thinking about, oh, I'm scared. You're thinking, okay, I got a job to do. I want to get home, and I'm gonna get home.
Mm.
Like fortunately for me and my squad, we work logistics, so we weren't really on the front lines,
Mm.
but there were several harrowing experiences. Easter Sunday 2004. Like I was in a like a D container, which is like a shipping container for you guys, and a rocket was launched, and the rocket fell. The rocket exploded not too far from me, and I woke up, and like a little woozy, but like I
Wow.
was able to survive that. A couple of times, like we were living in tents, and in the tents, like it was a tent, and maybe like 50 yards was our camp. Like
Mm-hmm.
our camp. Let's just say our camp is a square, and you have the tents in the square, but everyone around us, we was in Iraqi village. So it's just about every night they launch grenades and rockets
Wow.
at our camp, and some of them blew up, and some of them didn't. And one day, actually, I wasn't in the tent that day. A rocket came in through our tent, landed on the floor, and and hopped around, doom, 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 and it didn't explode. So, my buddies that were there, they were fortunate. Another
Wow.
time, yeah, Well, I've had a couple of experiences, but one time I was driving on the highway, and I'm a Brooklyn kid, so I never learned how to drive in Brooklyn. But
Right.
I was in Iraq, and I was whipping it. I had a Humvee, and I was going to the PX, which is like the Walmart,
Uh-huh.
and for some reason we closed the Walmart, but I didn't. Well, the Americans closed the Walmart. They moved it to a different camp, and I didn't know. So I'm driving and I'm seeing people. And I'm like, what the? And I see people with I see goats and I see people. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And then I hear something like a rock hits my Humvee. I turn around and I see insurgents. So
Wow.
what the? I tell them that they
you
like,
ran
what
it.
the hell are you
You ran
doing out
any
there?
of
I'm
them
like, yo,
over?
I didn't know. One last story, real quick. So I was in a trailer, and I was in. Let's just say there's a rows of trailers, right? There's a rows of
Mm,
100 trailers, right? There's,
mm-hmm.
there's 50 rows of 100 trailers, and each trailer had like two soldiers living in there, right? And I was in a trailer one time, and just lounging, after work, just playing video game Madden 2004, and two trailers away from me. So let's just say I was in trailer 17,
Mm-hmm.
row 9, trailer 17, row 9, trailer 19, quarter rocket, and blew up, and most of the
Wow.
guys that was in that trailer didn't make it. So but for the grace of God, I'm here. I'm still here. So
Wow. Yo, man. I'm
although
glad you're here to
the
tell some
crazy,
stories, brother.
yeah. Although the experiences were crazy, I was able
Compared
to
to
make it
Iraq
out.
or Brooklyn, which one is worse? Growing up in
Well, you know what's crazy? Like here's the way the Iraqis looked at us, right? And after a while, I understood their way of thinking, right?
mm-hmm.
If you, Kelsey, have an issue paying your mortgage, right? You can't pay your mortgage, you're having financial issues, right? And I come in and I say, hey, listen, Kelsey, I got you. I'm going to pay this mortgage for you. I'm going to help you stabilize. I'm going to help you get on your feet, and then we'll
Mm-hmm.
figure it out after, right? So I come in, and mind you, this is 2004, the whole 2004. And I come in and I stabilize it, right? I pay your mortgage. We came in, we got rid of Saddam, right?
Right.
After we got rid of Saddam, after I pay your mortgage, what do you expect to happen?
I mean, if if you pay my mortgage and we got rid of Saddam, get out of there.
Exactly.
Right.
But we 2004 we were still there, and actually Saddam was captured when I was there. So I actually met the
Mm-hmm.
guys, and he showed us the pictures
Wow.
that did not make the news, which was pretty cool. But the
Right.
point being is, we got Saddam, we tumbled the statues, and now it's like, well, what next? There are no weapons of mass destruction.
Mm.
Can we have our country? Can we govern our country? You're looking at me like I'm still living in your bedroom, and you're like, yo, Scotty, all right, thank you for helping me out. I got this from here. And I'm like, nah, help you chill out.
Right.
Like
Right.
1 year, 3 years, 5 years,
Right.
10 years,
Right.
I'm still there. So, after a while, you're like, yo, dude, I understand I had an issue. You helped me out with this issue, but I got this from now on.
Right.
And
Right.
I think a lot of the Iraqi citizens, they kind of were tired of us because we were there for so long.
Mm.
And, they were just like, why are you still here? Like,
Right.
the reason why you came is not here anymore.
Right.
And we all know the reason why you said you were coming is BS anyway. So with
Wow.
that being said, why are you still here?
Mm.
And that's the way they were thinking about it. And that was back in 2004, 2005. So imagine that we stayed there over a decade longer. So the
Mm.
frustration level on that end was ex- I'm sorry, the frustration level on the end was on 10 because we were there for too long, and it wasn't a healthy environment for us as American soldiers. And quite honestly, for them, let them be their own, let them govern their own, let them figure it out. Because
Right.
the truth is, Iraq has been around way longer than the United States.
Right.
So with that being said, let them figure it out. But we just wouldn't, and that's why some of the
So you basically,
problems.
I need to come home. I need to come back to my Brooklyn, to
Yeah,
Brooklyn
I
where
need
I
you to come
feel
home, and
safer.
funny you say that. So I came home March, like mid March, like March 17th, 2005. Let's just say I came home like on a Thursday. On a Monday, I was back in class.
Word.
Yeah, like I was a college student, and like I was like a junior in college, and my professors, like I wasn't an A student, but the last semester when I left in December, halfway through, I got all A's that semester.
Wow. Yeah, I
So the
know.
teachers blessed
That's
me, which was
nice.
good. but the truth is, when I came back, I got right back into class, and I was able to graduate college in like September of 2005,
Oh
and
wow.
just started working, and we met mid 2006. Like I started
Right, at
working at the
JP
bank.
Morgan.
Yeah, I started working at JP Morgan around June 2006,
That was
and
your
we met
major in
shortly
college?
thereafter.
Banking
Say
finance?
again?
That was your major in college, banking finance?
So actually, I actually have a couple of degrees. I have a degree in African American studies because I'm really interested in our people, and I
Mm.
wanted to learn as much about it as possible. And going to not going to HBCU. I know you're a Howard guy. Like
HU, you know.
you know. But the point being is, like I just know I wanted more of that culture, wanted more of our
Mm.
history, and I wasn't gonna get it. And the internet was around back then, but I wasn't gonna get the culture, the history of us, by just one or two classes. So I majored in that, and then I had a business degree with concentration in sports management. And then several years after I graduated from college, I went back and I got an MBA from Fordham.
Wow. Damn. Smart, dude. I would not tell.
Thanks.
Oh, so how you end up in banking?
Well, they can chose me. To tell you the truth,
Okay.
like I wanted to be in sports. Like I wanted to be first of all, I wanted to be an attorney, but I wanted to
Mm.
be an attorney that like I wanted to be a sports agent, and the best way to be a sports agent I figured out early was you need to be an attorney because you need to read contracts and stuff. So that's what it is. Like I graduated from college, I started studying for the LSAT, and I think I scored like a 160, 161, which is a really good grade on the
Mhm.
LSAT. It wasn't going to get me into Harvard, but it would have got me into any level 2 school in America, right?
Mhm.
But then, I got the call from JP Morgan. They were like, "Hey, listen, we got a job. We have a career path. Your education, your military background. We think this might make sense for you." And I'll be the first one to tell you, Kelsey, I grew up poor.
Mm.
I grew up extremely poor, and the money they were dangling in front of me, it was just like, wow, I could make this kind of money.
Mm.
And I tell it to this day, like my first year working in banking, I made $115,000.
Wow.
That was a lot of money back then.
For
That was
Brooklyn.
a lot of money
What part of
for a
Brooklyn you grew
young
up
guy.
in, by the way?
Say again?
What part of Brooklyn you grew up in?
I'm from Flatbush, bro. I'm from Flatbush.
Oh, shoot, I'm from Flatbush too.
Yeah, really, really. I grew up
I
on
came.
Clarence.
Well, I came in. I came when I first migrated here from Jamaica. I was on Clarkson Avenue, Tilden and Beverly. I went to PS 92, and then my
Mm-hmm.
parents, like 4 or 5 years later, they bought a house over East Flatbush, 50s, 52nd. So that's where I grew up, bro.
Got it. Well,
I'm
like
from your hood.
we moved around. I
Okay.
lived all over Flatbush. Like I probably, from, like as a child, I probably moved at least 10 times. Like times are
Wow.
rough. Like
Wow. That many?
oh, 10 times
Why?
is
Because
times are rough. Like you
wow.
pay the rent until you can't pay the rent no more. Then you got to figure it out.
Wow. You were
So
that poor. You were that poor. Wow.
oh no, times are rough, bro. Like we were so poor. We was poor. The OR we couldn't afford. It was just
Mm.
PO. You know what I'm saying? So but like growing up like that, it taught me,
Right.
like I gotta work hard. No one's gonna give me anything. But
Mm-hmm.
but on the other end, I always did extremely well in school.
Mm.
I was always fascinated by words. Always did well in classes. Always did well. But things are rough. Like doing homework on candlelight, things like
Wow.
that. So it really made me say, listen, I've been poor. I don't like this shit.
Mm.
So with that being said, let me figure out something else I can do to not ever be poor again.
Mm.
And like the military a lot when I was in, and I started working young. Like I'm talking about, I was packing bags in the supermarket at
Wow.
like 10. Because
You was putting in that
I,
work.
I, I had to I had to be a value add to the family. I
Mm.
had to chip in. So I started working young, and I had odd jobs. Just like before you got this what's the app where you get people to do things for you? Not Handy. But I was doing things with people in the neighborhood. Like I go to the
Mm-hmm.
store, I'll go do this, I'll go do that, I'll go wait online
Mm.
for you. I'll take your bags. I was doing all of that because
Wow.
we needed the money. And again, I reiterate, I grew up poor. So because I grew up poor, I realized I didn't like it, and
Right.
me not
So
liking it really
so when
propelled me
JC
to say,
Morgan gave you that offer.
yeah, yeah. So JP Morgan came with that money. They came with the bag, and I was like, oh shoot, let me see what this bag looking like.
Right.
And I still took the LSAT and I applied to a couple schools, but JP Morgan came and the offer was good, the money was good, and I started working. And after my first year, I made 115, and I was like, oh okay, this is real money. And
Mm.
making 115 coming where I'm coming from, it's just like, oh okay, now I'm on a different level in terms of what I can and can't visualize.
Mm.
Like college, the military, being able to take a look at the world holistically, and coming out and working at JP Morgan, it really allowed me to say, okay, there's more to this than what I know.
Mm.
So like I made like again 115 my first year, which was like 2006, 2007, and I made six figures again the next year, and I was like, okay, cool. But the thing is, because I grew up poor, I was saving, I was hoarding money.
Mm.
When I went away with the military, I had made some money because I was getting paid by the military, but I didn't have any bills.
Mm.
Like I didn't have a
So you
phone. I
saved
didn't
that
even have a
money.
phone.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't even have a phone. So the money I was making there, which was tax free, I came home, I started working, and next thing you know, I got $500,000
Wow. Really?
stock market.
Nice.
Yeah, like 2008.
And this is between your military money and your JP
My
Morgan money.
military and my job, and and I'm around people that have financial skills, financial acumen. That I'm like, okay, how do you do this? How do you do that? Like I knew I was
Mm.
poor growing up, but I
So
didn't
you
have a
weren't just
structure to
saving,
say,
you were investing as well.
yeah, yeah. So I started investing in the stock market, and I started going heavy. Every week, I was dropping like $5,000, $10,000 in the market, similar to
You said
what we're
five,
doing
ten thousand dollars?
every week.
Wow.
Every week, stopping money in the market, and
Wow. This is
and I
before
worked
it
at a
crashed
bank.
in 2008, by the way.
Well, I'm getting to it, bro. I'm
Oh,
getting to it.
okay, okay. I'm just,
Right.
yeah.
So what happened was, so what had happened was that like I'm investing heavy in the market, but there's the here's what I did know. I worked at a bank, so I knew banking.
Mm.
And I was buying all these bank stocks. Morgan Stanley, I'll take some of you. Goldman Sachs, I'll take some of that. JP Morgan, I'll take a lot of you.
Right.
Washington Mutual, I will take some of you. You're cheap. I'll take even more. Pull up. So
Wow.
what happened was, like I'm at the bank, I'm at JP Morgan, I'm at Chase, and I hear that, like Washington Mutual is not doing well. So, the stock is doing bad, and with JP Morgan is thinking of buying Washington Mutual, excuse me, Washington Mutual. So I'm like, all right, cool. Let me keep buying.
Mm.
So, at one point I had about $100,000 worth of Washington Mutual stock.
Wow.
Then JP Morgan bought Washington Mutual. And I'm hyped. Like I'm on the train, right? Coming home from work. And let's just say the deal happened in the early evening. So I'm coming home from work, and my boy texts me. My boy Hurts
Mm-hmm.
texts me. He's like, "Yo, Scotty, Chase just bought Washington Mutual." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm on the train, like doing a happy dance."
Right, right.
Before Showtime came out, I was in the train, just
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I got
yeah.
home, I got in front of my TV, turned it on to Fast Money, looking at Jim Cramer, and then it started breaking down the deal. And then I'm like, okay, like trying to calculate how much money did I make. And then I'm like, wait a minute, what is receivership? What's happening here? Oh shit, I lost everything.
What?
That one Washington Mutual trade, I lost six figures one time.
Wow.
One time,
Damn.
six figures gone. I'm a poor kid from Flatbush, a poor Haitian kid from Flatbush, and I lost $100,000 on one trade.
Damn.
No way. Ain't
Wow.
no way. So with that being said, I'm like, oh nah, yo, this can't be life. I was sick. I was sick
I can
bad.
imagine.
I called out the next day. That's how sick I was.
I can imagine, bro.
But you know what though?
$100,000 in one
hundred
trade.
thousand dollars one day, one shot, bang. I woke up the next day. Like I probably had like $500,000 in the market at that time, and I woke up the next day, I had like 350. I was like, oh, fuck it, this is craziness. So I'm like, listen, obviously, I'm not a gambler. I don't gamble. Like that's just not one of my things. So with that being said, I didn't like the feeling of losing that kind of money.
Mm,
So what I decided to do was I'm like, yo, I need some tangible, hard assets, things I can touch. I want to touch my stuff.
mm,
I want to touch. So I'm like, all right, cool. At that time, I was living in Flatbush on Newkirk with two roommates that I went to college with, right?
mm.
It was called a frat house.
I can
And
imagine.
we was paying $1,200 a month in rent, $400
Total?
each.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, plus bills, like we was paying like 450 each.
Okay.
So 450 each. So I was making money, but I was saving money, and I had no expenses, so I was doing well. So with that being said, I'm like, I can't do this, and this space is getting a little cramped. So let me go and figure out like where I can live next. So I still had some money. I had like probably like $300,000, $400,000.
Mm-hmm.
So I goes to the local real estate agent, right? And mind me, I'm 25 years old.
Right.
Like I'm 25 years old. I work in finance, and I had to refine. I had
And
to
your
the
credit seemed
refinance.
to be good too. So you had 350 plus good credit, dog.
Oh, my credit never been touched, bro.
So they
I
ain't
had
willing to give
excellent
you
credit,
anything.
and to this day, I still have excellent credit because like I've always I've been poor, bro, and because I've been
Mm,
poor, I understood what poor is. I understood what poor did, and
mm.
I just like, yo, I'm not adopting any of these habits.
Right. Wow.
So, with that being said, I went to the local real estate agency, and I'm like, I need a real estate agent. They're like, all right, go sit here. So I
Mm,
go and I sit there, and these guys come in, they look at me, and they're like, I ain't talking to this dude. I ain't talking to this
mm.
dude. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. So this one
They
cat,
profiled you, huh?
yeah, no, they profile the shit out of me, but it's okay. It's all right.
Were they white Jewish guys or black?
No, no, it was a mixed office,
Okay.
but like I didn't look like a typical client that was doing anything,
Right.
because I lived in Flatbush. I walked to the agency in Flatbush, on a weekend, so like I wasn't looking polished or refined. Like,
Right.
all
Right.
right,
Right. Right.
David, like none of them really talked to me, and then they gave me a guy, and then this guy came in, and we're friends to this day, and he sat me down, and he asked when I'm looking. I'm like, hey, listen, I'm interested in buying something. He's like, buying or renting? I'm like, no, I'm interested in buying something. Find me something to buy. He's like, okay, tell me about yourself. So I started, hey, I'm 25 and I'm interested in buying. What do you got? He's like, all right, let's take a step back. You understand what buying is? I'm like, I've read things before. I know how buying is. Like, he's like, all right,
Wow.
fine. Which tell me about yourself. Here's what you need to buy. You need to get pre-approved for a mortgage. I'm like, I could do that. I could do that. And then he's like, all right, let me see what you have. Let me see your paperwork. I showed him my bank statement. He was like,
Uh,
oh, Mr. Etienne, come right in. Come right in, Mr. Etienne. Pull up. So then he started taking me seriously,
All
you
right.
know. And then pull up my credit and realize I got like an 800 credit score.
Well, yeah,
So
bro. I mean, I was in real estate too, so I know when I get a client like you, I'm like, yes,
yeah,
cha-ching.
yeah, because I don't know nothing. Because
Right.
I don't know nothing. What I
Mm,
know is I did not like the feeling that I had losing money in the stock market. So
mm,
because of that, I knew that I wanted to do something different.
mm.
And something different meant I got to invest in something, and I was, and real estate made sense. I'm not a car guy. I still don't have a car. I have jewelry. Like I wear watches and stuff, but I'm 25 years old.
Yeah.
And it's not
Wow.
like I grew up wealthy where I understood the value of a Rolex or so on and so forth. I'm like, I need a tangible asset. So he's like, cool. What are you looking for? I'm like, I don't know. I want an apartment. He's like, all right, cool. But I suggest that you go and you buy a house. I'm like, listen, bro, I'm 25 years old. I don't want anything to do with any house. I don't want any headache. I don't want to deal with tenants. I don't want to deal with anything. Get me an apartment. He's like, all right, cool. He takes me around and he takes me to the apartment. And I look at the apartment and I'm like, oh, the paint is nice. I'll take it. I
Mm,
swear to you, that's what I said.
mm.
It had nice paint. And I'm like, all right, cool, I'll take it. Whatever. He's like, all right, cool. So, I buy it. And then we start talking
How
some
much
more. He's
was it?
like,
How much was it? Was it?
I paid $85,000 for a co-op in Crown Heights.
Okay.
And then remind me, I got to circle back on that co-op and what I've done since buying that co-op, right?
Mm-hmm.
I paid $85,000 for a co-op in Crown Heights, and I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm in there, but every couple months he sends me emails. Hey, Scotty, I got this for you. And I'm like, bro, I'm good, bro, I'm good. Hey, Scotty, I got this for you. I'm like, bro, I'm good. He's
Mm.
like, one time he called me. He's like, yo, Scotty, I've known you a couple years now. I got something for you. I'm like, bro, I'm good. He's like, Scotty, stop playing with me, Duke. Literally like that. He's like, yo,
Mm.
Duke, stop playing with me. Come see me at this address at this time. I have something that you should look at. So I'm like, all right, fine, whatever.
Right.
So, like he gives me an address in Bed-Stuy, and I go, and I'm in Bed-Stuy, and I pull up to the address, and I see a lot of investors that don't look like me
Mm.
outside, just looking at the house. And I'm like, and
What is a
you
brownstone?
know, yeah, it was a brownstone in Bed-Stuy, and I'm like, I don't know much, but I know if that particular group of people are interested in something,
Wow.
if that particular group of people are interested in something in that style, it must be a good idea.
Mm.
So he takes me in there, and I see, a brownstone with 3 apartments. I go in, and I take a look, and I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. We get back in his car, and I'm like, he's like, what do you want to do? I'm like, what do you mean, what do I want to do? He's like, you should buy this. I'm like, I told you, I don't really want to deal with the headaches of dealing with this. There's 3 tenants here. He's like,
Mm-hmm.
listen. He's like, listen, you. So he's like, yo, this right here is a contract. I need you to sign right here. I said, huh? He takes my hand. He says, yo, sign right here. So I signed. Next day, he calls me, hey, Scotty, you got an approval. I'm like, oh shit, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, this brownstone, you're gonna pay 360 for it. Um,
Whoa. What?
yeah, yeah,
360?
360. I'm like, shit, that's a lot of money. He's like, you gotta pay 360. And then I'm like, wait a minute, I got a VA loan. I got a VA loan. The VA loan is 0% interest.
Mm.
I don't gotta pay nothing. Okay, cool. All right, let's get that one. All right, cool. So I get the brownstone, and I have to
At
spend some money.
360 in Bed-Stuy. That's crazy. What block was
360.
that?
It's on Quincy and Malcolm X.
Oh,
And
good.
if you want, I can give you what that brownstone is worth today. That brownstone I paid 360 for in 2009, I think. It is worth one point anywhere between 1.5 and 1.7 million dollars.
Wow. Don't tell me
Yeah,
you didn't sell it.
at minimum. No, the truth is, it's probably worth as is with me doing no work.
Mm-hmm.
I can probably sell it for like 1.4, 1.5. With
Mm.
me doing work, 1.7, 1.8.
Wow.
It's 3 stories, and it's rented as 3 units. And here's what I always tell anybody that tries to rent it: you are on the safest block in Bed Stuy. It's the house is a couple doors down from a church. 1 block away is a police station.
Mm.
Behind the police station is a fire department. So ain't nothing happening to you on that block.
Right. Right.
you
Right.
know, like
Right.
it's a
I know
safe block.
exactly
It's
where
a
that is,
beautiful
bro.
house, and I'm just blessed that like
So you
I have over.
accidentally kind of sort of accidentally got into real estate. Like,
Yeah. But there's more to the story. I was fortunate enough that my agent Inco looked out for me and basically made me buy the house. I didn't have to use any money to purchase it, but I did need to have some money to do renovations.
mm-hmm.
And at that time, I still had my stock portfolio, and funny enough, to this day, I still have some of those stocks that I had back in 2008 in my portfolio.
Really?
Yeah, like because I do trade, but I don't day trade. I'm a buy and hold guy. Like
Mm.
like I have like when Visa first came out, IPO, I bought IPO. I still own all those shares. When Facebook came out, IPO, I bought like 1,000 shares. I still have those shares.
Wow.
Because I just never sold. So after I bought that house, I spent some money renovating and retreating back into myself. I was like, oh shoot. I just spent a lot of money. I got this co-op, I got this house, and and the market crashed, and I changed jobs.
Hmm.
So I went from
How
making
did
six
when the
figures.
market crash? How was your stock portfolio then?
I was heavy on banking,
Okay.
so my pockets were light.
All right.
Like I was heavy. I had Citibank, Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan
Wow.
Chase. All of them went this way.
Damn. Was it still six figures? You know.
I probably had, I, I probably had like maybe like 150, $200,000 back then.
Oh, okay. Well, this.
I bought the co-op. You know, I bought the house. I didn't pay any money to get into the house, but I had to pay renovations. At
Mhm.
that time, right when I bought the house, so I'll tell you right now, when I bought the house, it's probably like yeah, like 2000, yeah, like yeah, like like my money was still kind of hurting, but I what happened was I I changed jobs when the
Mhm.
market crashed. I went from making six figures to making $55,000 a year.
Wow.
That's a lifestyle change type of money.
Mm.
My salary was cut in half.
Mm.
So with that being said, I was eating tuna every day,
Wow.
every single day for like 6 months straight. I would make the tuna at night, two pieces of bread, two pieces of bread, two
Were you in a
sandwiches.
relationship?
Was I? I probably was, but I probably was. You know what? No, real talk. I was in a relationship, but like
Right.
that, that's not how I operate. You know what
Mm.
I'm saying? My money's my money, your money's your money. And she was doing very well for herself, but I didn't let her on that I was eating tuna every day.
Mm.
You
Okay.
know,
That was between you and you
I'm
and
a man,
God.
I'm stoic. So but I don't think I was paying for a lot of lavish dates either.
Right. 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 Right.
It was a lot of you know
Netflix and chill.
and I wasn't able to cook back then. So we ate a lot of sandwiches. I remember her and I we ate a lot of sandwiches. I'd go to her house and like there's a corner store by her house. Funny enough, I go to that corner store and get the same sandwich we used to get. Because it was a good sandwich.
Right.
And I'd go to her house, I get her one, I get myself one, and then we chill, watch TV, and do whatever.
Oh,
So
that's a good. That
that
was a
was
good
that.
one right there.
She's awesome, and I'll be honest with you, like I've had a couple good ones, and like I wasn't ready for them,
I feel you.
so
I
so
can
so
relate to that.
um, I'm looking at the next decade pulling up, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, you know what, like, and
Yeah. Don't trust me, bro. Trust me. It's gonna hit you
yeah,
real quick, and you're gonna have some
yeah, but I feel
regrets.
you,
You're gonna
I
have
feel
some
you, I feel
regrets.
you. Yeah, so I'm looking at the next decade coming up, and I'm like, I need to make some life choices, and I need to find a life partner and build with
Yeah.
because especially during COVID, you can't do this shit alone.
Yeah, man.
And beyond not being able to do this shit alone, you need someone that loves you for you and you love for them, and that you can build with and have a family and foster a healthy
Facts.
relationship. So
Facts.
like that's my goal.
Facts. Sorry, I took you off
But
the of your story. Say you were
yeah,
eating
we're rolling.
you
We're in the
tuna
world.
every day, $55,000 a year.
Yeah. So I went down to 55K, and like I was hurting. But when I say I was hurting, I still had like maybe like a buck 50 in the stock market.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, that's not money that I can
Mm.
access. You got to sell a stock. You might you might win or take a loss, and then you got to transfer to an account. To me, that's not day to day money. So I was able to live in my co-op, manage that house. But then like funny enough, the girl that I was dating at the time, she bought a house in Bed Stuy. She bought
Mm.
a four family. She paid 800,
Whoa.
and that's worth like $2 million today. And
Mm.
she bought a house. I got a house. She got a house, and I'm like, all right, cool. And I had money, so we her and I and the contractor that worked on her house and also worked on my house because I needed some renovation. He was like, yo, you got that money. I'm a contractor. Let's get into business together
Mm.
and basically start flipping houses.
Mm.
So we did that, and we flipped like maybe like five houses. So I started flipping houses with them, and we did well. We was buying these houses on the low, in Brooklyn, in Queens, in the Bronx, and just basically flipping them.
How is that situation? Was it, split evenly? like the contractor?
It wasn't split evenly. You know, like I was still making like 55,000,
Okay.
and what I was able to do is I was able to leverage my stock account and take money out to buy to pay for the houses. And we would get a mortgage. So we had a hard money lender. Let's just
Mm-hmm.
say we bought a house for 200. We needed to come up with 40, which is like 20%, and
Mm-hmm.
then we would pay on the 160 that's left. We would pay 1% per month. So like 1,600 divided by three is $533.33. So
Mm.
each of us would pay, yeah, five. Each of us would pay our third, but we were able to leverage that, and basically each of us would pay a third of the down payment and a third of the monthly mortgage. So we was able to leverage that. We bought like five houses,
Mm.
a couple in Brooklyn, a couple in the Bronx, a couple in Queens, and we started flipping those houses, and we was making really, really good money,
Mm.
you know. And then like my job situation changed, and I accepted a job taking me back financially to where I was prior to the market crashing.
Mm-hmm.
So making a couple $100,000 a year flipping houses, and with a very good income, and also with the rental income I was collecting from my house on Quincy Street. So it was going
Mm.
really well for us. And then after a while, like the partnership kind of dissolved. Her and I broke up, and that didn't really dissolve the partnership. But like she wasn't really pressed on buying more properties.
Mm.
So him and I, we bought more properties together, and then our connect, he couldn't get us more properties because he was our connect, but he was our connect was real special because he was getting us properties and also financing us.
Mm.
So
Wow.
he got out of the business, so that kind of killed the business. But I ended up with when the partnership dissolved, I ended up with one of the houses in the Bronx.
Mm.
And I didn't particularly like going to the Bronx. I didn't have a car. I didn't like I had problems with tenants, and I sold this house. And to this day, I say every house I've ever sold, I've regretted.
Mm.
I sold the house in the Bronx for 450. I paid 250, and I
Mm.
sold for 415. So that's a nice come up.
Mm.
But that house is worth 700 today. You
Mm.
know, the house in Brooklyn, we had a house in Brooklyn that we sold. Um, we sold it for 450, but it's in it's in Bed Stuy, and
Mm.
we paid like two something for it. We sold it for 450. It's not in the greatest part of Bed Stuy, but the house is worth 1.2 today.
Wow.
So like every house I ever sold, I regret it. We were getting such good deals that we were making money, but if I had the mindset that I have today, I'd probably own maybe like 10 at minimum. Well,
Half
if
in
I
New
had the
York.
mindset that I have today, I'd own probably like 10 brownstones.
Right.
Like just because I had access to there was an inventory. I had at that time maybe like $200,000 in the stock market. I had money coming in from the rents that I was collecting. I also had money that we made from the partnership. So I was sitting. I was heavy on cash, and I met some people. I looked at some houses, and every time I passed by them, I'm like, I could have owned this house in
Mm.
Bed Stuy that is worth 1.8 today. I could have paid 300 in
Wow.
2009 for this
Wow.
house next to it. I could have paid 350. So I didn't have the mindset back then, and growing up poor, not having any mentors or anyone to help guide me and navigate. Like it was just me. And
Mm.
my parents, my mom was like, "Hey, listen, boy, what are you doing? Like if stuff hits the fan, what's gonna happen? Who's gonna support you? I know you're making money, but it's just me." So I was kind of gun shy in terms of the
Mm.
deals that I could have and should have taken,
Mm-hmm.
and I probably would have another zero behind my net worth if I would
Mm.
have bought. I had one deal where a guy wanted to sell me four brownstones in Bed Stuy for like $1 million all in.
Wow. 4 brownstones.
Four brownstones, $1 million, and I would be responsible for getting the mortgages. But I had enough money for the down payments on all of them.
Wow.
Kelsey, if I would have bought that portfolio, we'd be having this conversation. I'd probably be in South Beach somewhere. But
Right. Right.
it is what it is. You live, you learn. So
Right. It's part of the
so
process,
yeah,
learning,
it's part of the
learning
process, and I
by
wouldn't change
doing.
any of it. I wouldn't change any of it because at the end of the day, I'm a poor kid from Flatbush, and I was able to just basically build up, and here I am today. But the mistakes, the lessons I learned, those were lessons that I needed to learn.
Mm,
And like I'm looking at the market now, well, looking at the stock market now and watching what happened with AMC and the short squeeze, and I'm like, this is just craziness.
mm,
And looking at real estate, and I'm looking at these prices in Bed Stuy, and I'm like, this is craziness. But I was able to buy another brownstone in Bed Stuy, so I own two of them, and I'm like, all right, it doesn't make sense for me to buy more houses in Brooklyn because I'm not making enough money on them.
mm.
I need to live comfortably, and if I'm going to be a landlord, which is what I'm doing, there's not enough money. I can't. The last house I bought in Brooklyn, I paid 1.4 million
Mm.
dollars for it. My down payment was $500,000.
Wow.
So with that being said, I'm not making enough money to justify the $500,000 down payment.
Hmm.
I got a nice chunk of equity in it. You
Right.
know, the
But
values have gone up,
it didn't
but at the
realize
end of the
until you
day,
sell though. So
say again.
you became cash poor because
I've done well outside of I've done well outside of real estate.
Mhm.
Like again, I still have stocks
And
that
you still had your
when
nine
the
to
market
five.
crashed, when the market crashed, I bought stock and I hold those stocks, and I'm up several 100%
Wow.
on
Wow.
my stock portfolio.
Wow.
Several 100%. So
Wow.
I've done well outside of real estate, but like real estate is my baby.
Hmm.
So I was able to buy another brownstone, the co-op building, that I own, that I bought that apartment in. I was able to buy three more apartments in
Oh, in
that
the
co-op
same building?
building. Same building, yeah. So
Okay.
and then like maybe like 4.5, 5 years ago, I started to diversify my real estate holdings out of New York, and I started investing heavy in Baltimore.
Why Baltimore?
And yeah, oh, Baltimore, yeah.
Why
I
why
see your
why
face. You're like, why
Baltimore?
Baltimore
Yeah.
again?
Why Baltimore? Why how you heard about Baltimore?
Well, I had a friend of mine, Jude, who owned a six-family house out in Baltimore, and like, but by that time I flipped several houses. I was buying and holding a couple of brownstones. I owned a couple co-ops, and I didn't like that every house in Brooklyn was over $1 million.
Mm.
So for what I do, like I'm a cash on cash return guy. So with that being said, it doesn't make sense for me to drop three, four, $500,000 to make net $2,000, $3,000 a month.
Right,
But
right, right, right.
if you go to Baltimore, if you spend $300,000 in Baltimore, you're buying a block.
Mm.
You're buying a block, or
Mm.
you're buying a building. So with
Mm.
that being said, he had a six family that like was that needed to be renovated, and he sold it to me at a good price, and I was able to drop a little bit over $100,000 in renovating it, while I still had a job, and just basically every month I'd get my paycheck and I'd dump it into the house,
Wow.
and I was able to just basically get it stabilized, and I'm doing very well with that one, and I was able to buy four more properties in Baltimore, and that's the market that I mainly focus on. I have my properties in Brooklyn that I'm not looking to sell or do anything with, but I also have my Baltimore portfolio, and I'm actively looking to grow it because I've been down there enough. About well, exactly a little bit over 3 years ago, December 21st, 2017, I officially retired from corporate America. You know, I was working at the bank.
What made you decide to like I'm gonna focus on my real estate game? Um, what made you decide that was a time?
Couple things. I was making more money in real estate than I was making at the bank.
Mm.
I didn't like, I was a vice president. I had my own office, and I was doing very good at the. I'm sorry, I was doing very well at the bank, but I didn't feel like there's this thing in corporate America, whereas no matter who, if you look like me,
Mm.
if you talk like me, if you move like me, if you come from the background like me, you never really fit in.
Mm.
You know, like I never really fit in.
Mm-hmm.
I worked hard and I was good at what I did.
You didn't code
But
switch?
like I did code switch, like I did code switch, and you don't make it in corporate America without code switching. But I
Mm-hmm.
was never comfortable code switching.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was never comfortable code switching because, like I'm from Brooklyn, I'm from Flatbush. I didn't go away to college. I didn't go to the PWI institution. I went to Brooklyn College, and the code switching, like I didn't like coming in every day and having to put a different face on.
I feel you,
You know,
brother. I feel you on that.
yeah, I didn't
It
like it.
takes a toll too. Like,
It does
imagine
take a
like
toll.
8 hours a day being somebody you're not.
Yeah, yeah, and bro, like you know me, you've seen me throughout the years. I'm a happy. I laugh. I'm always smiling,
Mm.
and but like, and I don't even feel like I'm really that big. I'm 6 feet, 200 pounds, but when I'm in a room, and especially I used to dress really nice, like
Mm-hmm.
suits and matching ties and matching socks. Like I had a little bit of flair to me, and some of my colleagues just weren't as comfortable with me as
Mm.
some of my colleagues weren't as comfortable with me, which made me uncomfortable and
Mm.
where I couldn't be myself. I
I,
remember one
I'm sure
time,
a lot of people listening to this could relate to what you're just saying, bro.
yeah, I remember one time, right? I had, like my first two managers in corporate America were black females, right? And the first one gave me an opportunity off the street and gave me a job, gave me a life.
Mm.
Yvonne, she gave me a life. And my second manager, she hired me because she was like, yo, listen, I'm in charge. This is my team. Um, I'm the and at the time she was the most senior African American woman in J.P. Morgan Chase. You know,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of she was the most senior. So she was like, "This is my chance. I want to hire someone that looks like me." So she hired me, and then she knew that I wasn't comfortable. I had candid conversations with her, and she knew I wasn't comfortable. But like one time I remember we were at is it Buffalo Bill like the the place in Manhattan in Midtown where you had like the bucket the not the cow the
Oh,
Bronco like,
oh yeah, the
the bull.
the electronic bull, the mechanical
Yeah,
bull. I
yeah, the
know that is.
mechanical
That's like
bull
by
in the
Rockefeller
50s.
Center in that area.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So one time we were there, like it was like a team building thing, and we were there, and I'm young, like I'm 28 years old, and we were there, and like I don't drink. That's one
Mm.
thing, and my colleagues were getting drunk, and they were getting on that bull, and I remember she came up to me and she said she saw me looking at the bull, and I like I'm about that action,
Mm-hmm.
and like I would get on the bull, she came up to me and she moseyed up to me. She's like, yeah, I see you looking at that bull, and I understand why. And she told me straight up, I see you looking at that bull, and I understand why you're not gonna get on there.
Mm.
And because and that really resonated with me.
Mm.
So I was like, all right, cool, all right, and I wasn't gonna get on there because I didn't want my colleagues to see me in that light. I
Mm.
wasn't comfortable. I wasn't comfortable with that team. I wasn't comfortable with them. They weren't really comfortable with me. And and that was also the job that I had to take the 50% pay cut for. You
Mm.
know,
Oh hell no.
yeah, yeah. That was also the job that I took a six-figure pay cut for. So it was just like, you know what, man? All right, cool. Let me buy my time. Let me keep buying more real estate. Let me keep doing this. And I changed jobs. I left her team, and until this day, like I'm thankful for her. I'm thankful for the manager before her. And quite honestly, I've always had really good managers in corporate
Mm.
America, but it was the interpersonal dynamic between me and
You're right. You know that, there's a ceiling, and in order for you to kind of break that ceiling, you have to go beyond who you were or who you
yeah,
want to be.
yeah,
Code switching on the 10th degree to
yeah,
elevate.
yeah. I remember one time I was in the elevator, and that's the elevator that Jamie Dimon rides on because we was on the 41st floor, and Jamie's executive office started on
Who's
like the
Jamie Dimon?
48th floor. You know who David Diamond is. David Diamond is the CEO of JP Morgan Chase.
Uh-huh.
So he was the CEO, and sometimes we drive the elevator with them. Like, and if I'm riding the elevator with Jamie, I'm making myself as small, as unnoticeable as
Right,
I can,
right,
probably being
right,
the only black man in that
right,
elevator.
right.
So, but the point being is, I remember I'm listening to some Buju Banton in my speakers, and I'm looking at my white colleagues just yapping it up. Ha ha ha! I was golf, and I'm like, man, fuck this.
Oh hell no.
So so I changed jobs a couple of times, and my last job, like I had a great manager, but the fit didn't fit. They wanted me to go to White Plains a couple times a week, which was
Mm-hmm.
fine, but it really wasn't fine. And my territory was like White Plains and North.
Mm.
So I'd be in Woodstock, New York,
Oh
thinking,
wow.
golly, I don't want to be up here.
Right.
I'd be in small towns in Connecticut, small towns in Boston. I went to Rhode Island once, and I'm like, oh man, I don't really want. This is like I'm not happy,
Right.
and I'm not happy, and quite honestly, I'm making more money in real estate than I'm making.
Mm.
I'm
Right.
spending 50, 60 hours a week. I'm driving up to Woodstock, New York. I don't like driving.
Right. Right. Right.
So yeah, and I'm driving there, and clients don't want to shake my hands. My
Mm.
my colleagues, and I would never say my colleagues were racist. That's not what I'm saying. But
Mm-hmm.
my colleagues were not used to dealing with someone that looked like me on an equal level.
Mm. Mm.
Not racism, but just
Mm.
not comfort.
Undertone, white
Yeah,
supremacy type stuff
yeah, like they just
without
weren't
them knowing
comfortable with
it.
me. Yeah. They were the people that would be like, "What do you mean? I'm not racist. I got a black colleague."
Right, right,
You know,
right.
what are
But
you
but
doing?
don't you understand there? I mean, when we go into their environment, you know, we kind of like have to fit in, into their world. When they come to our environment, they feel uncomfortable. Like, oh, I'm uncomfortable around here. They don't make the time. They don't think they have to fit in. So,
Yeah, we got a code switch. They don't code switch. You know,
mm,
so
facts.
I was just uncomfortable being there, and that was the last. And when I took that job, I said to myself, 5 years.
Mm,
That's what I'm gonna do in corporate America. They gave me a nice sign-on bonus. Like a nice sign-on bonus. And I was making good money, the best money that I was making my whole career. I had an office on 42nd Street, overlooking like Lexington Avenue, like
mm-hmm.
really nice,
Nice.
really well done.
To
The
other
manager,
people, they were like, "I've arrived." They were good with that,
yo,
But
I
to
did
you,
arrive, bro. I was
but
excited. I was happy,
mhm.
but my boss was awesome. My colleagues that sat in the office next to me, and the colleagues that sat in Manhattan, the ones that worked in my side of the business,
Mhm.
they were cool. My boss was cool. My colleague that sat next to me, she's the class after me at Fordham. She was cool. Shout out to Michelle. But like I just wasn't comfortable,
Mm.
and because I wasn't comfortable, I had a conversation with my boss once, and I'm like, how long do I have to stay until I don't have to give the signing bonus back?
Very candid, huh? Very
She
kept it
said,
100.
yeah, she said 365 days. I said, listen, this is not working. I'm not happy.
Mm. Was it a sister?
No, it wasn't a sister. Like my first two bosses were African American women.
Mhm.
My next two bosses were white men, and my last boss was a white woman. And I'll tell you right now, I had five bosses in corporate America. I had five awesome bosses.
Wow. Nice.
My bosses were cool, but it was some of the dynamics between myself and some of the not clients. I was cool with the clients, some of them, but it was the dynamics that I had with some of the people that you know, like just to break it down. I was a product partner. I had a product that I sold,
Mhm.
and I sold TS Treasury Services, right? The I had two clients. My clients were the bankers that were the coverage officers for and their clients. So
Mhm.
there'd be situations where I myself and a colleague would be going out to meet with a client.
Mm.
The colleague would talk to the client every day and would manage the client's credit and account and go there and be like, okay, you got a $50 million revolver. You want to take $10 million. Okay, we're gonna give you the $10 million. That was their job, but they're supposed to the client every day. With me, my job was treasury services, so I would come in and sell them different products,
Mm.
and I was cool with my but on the treasury services side, we were our own team. We had different product partners, we had different assistants, we had our own team, and within the treasury services team, it was cool. Within the team that of the bankers, I was at three banks, and I might have had maybe 60 bankers that I worked with. I was cool with like 50 of them, but
Mm.
that's fine. Like that's fine. So that's not the problem. The problem was, when I started having to go to White Plains and North, I wasn't getting along with those people.
Mm.
They weren't comfortable with me, and I
Mm.
wasn't comfortable with them. Some of them didn't want to shake my hand, which is whatever. And I just wasn't happy. And I'm like, I make more money in real estate. I spend 50 hours a week doing this. I spend 10 hours a week doing real estate. I'll see you later. 365 days, I'm out.
Mm.
December 21, 2017, I was like, listen, all right, I sent my letter of resignation. And that was the end of my career. I worked
How was it
from
feeling? How
June.
did you feel when you finally, got liberated?
Um, it was bittersweet because, like I felt like a failure. And I'm going to tell you why. Um, I felt like I let us down.
Really?
Yeah, I did. I did. And I'm going to tell you why. I know that there will not be another person that looks like me that gets that job.
Ah.
And I
Mm.
and that killed me, bro.
Mm.
That killed me. I was
Mm.
like, bro, the money. I didn't care about the money because like I'm in real estate. Like I'm like I'll be fine. Like I left the bank December and January. I bought another co-op.
Mm.
I'm fine. You know what I'm saying? With me, I'm fine. It's not about me. It's about
Mm.
the guys coming in behind me. They might not get that opportunity, and
So
that
did you leave on
really
good
bothered
terms
me.
or bad terms?
I left on good terms with my boss. I
Hmm.
left on good terms with my team, with my the team on my side. But like the truth is, I didn't leave on bad terms with. I didn't really leave on bad terms with anyone, but I just knew because the interpersonal dynamics, like it just wasn't
Yeah.
like it
Yeah.
wasn't working, and
Yeah.
my boss would not go out on that ledge and hire someone else that looked like me with the understanding that it might not work. Because at the
Mm.
end of the day, your manager they get points for diversity hires,
Hmm.
but they lose points for losing diversity.
Oh, so you were you
Like
were like a diversity hire.
no, I'm not gonna say I was a diversity hire. Like that, I would not say because that's not true.
Mm.
Um, what I would say is that I lasted 365 days
Right.
at my last job. 365. They paid me a ton of money to come on. They paid me for that whole year, and I left.
Mm.
Like I started December 2016. I left December 2017. It wasn't a good look. You
Mm.
know what I'm saying?
I get
Like
it.
like
I get
like
it.
as a man, you can't pay me this much
And you just stick around
for
for a year.
yeah 1 year. So with that being said, I know that it would be difficult for someone else that looked like me to get a similar job, and I also know that like it didn't feel good. I did feel like I let us down, and I wasn't
Hmm.
I wasn't I wasn't happy about it. But
Right.
I was miserable. So
Right.
like I had to go.
Mm-hmm.
So but I did feel like as a failure for us because I don't think I think it would be a challenge to get someone else that looked like me in that role
Right.
again.
Right.
You know,
It'll
I
happen. It'll happen. I definitely think it'll happen, especially now where there's focus on a lot of DNI and white supremacy, tackling white supremacy issues within corporate America. So it's I mean, you definitely left a mark, and it may not be tomorrow, but it'll happen. Because
yeah, and the good thing is like there's a couple guys like although like I was in my mid 30s, I really rocked with the analysts because
mm-hmm,
I know what the analysts were going through just right out of college. I take them to lunch. I
mm,
talk to them what's going on because somebody, what I'm saying, like I'm not where I'm at, and I can't not help.
Right.
You know, and every not every, but several of the people that used to work as my analysts, they all got jobs. Like they
Mm-hmm.
all got jobs doing the thing. And one funny story, right? So there's this guy, like we he was working on another team, but I liked him. Like we'd hang out, we'd go to lunch, and my boss needed to hire an assistant for me. So my boss was like, okay, Scotty, we need to hire you an assistant, and um, let me get some resumes. I said, Mike, let's hire this guy. So Mike is like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, just hire him. Like I'll work with him. I'll get him up to speed. He'll be fine. So we hired him, and and this wasn't my last job. This was my job before that, right? So we hired him, and him and I, we're friends to this day. But maybe like 9 months in, there was a job that came up at another bank, and I looked at the job, and I'm like, yo, that's a good job, and that bank pays.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go out for the job. So I went out for the job, and he went out for the job.
Oh wow.
I got 10 years of experience. He has 9 months experience.
Mm.
Guess who got the job?
He did.
Not me. but,
Wow.
but it's cool though because that's my boy, and his family is well taken care of, and he did extremely well in the job. He's a smart guy. He's an MBA, but he didn't know. He didn't have the experience. But
Why did he get the job over you?
um, he didn't look like us.
Ah, okay.
You know what I'm saying? He didn't
Okay.
look like us. And like I understand you got to hire people that you feel comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? At the job before that, before I left JP Morgan, I made sure when it was time to hire me an assistant back then, I made sure I hired someone that looked like us. And now, when I left when I left JP, I went to Santander. When I left Santander, the guy that I made get the job at JP as my assistant, he moved to Santander in my job.
Wow.
So it's all good. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right.
And he's a brother. And actually, I spoke to him 2 days ago about the suit drive that I'm having, and just about his experiences, and like just how things are going, and how his family's doing, and I'm happy because I came from Flatbush, and somebody gave me an opportunity on Wall Street, and I was able to work for 13 years from 2000.
Mm.
No, not 13 years, from 2006 to 2017. So 11 and a half years. And several of my assistants throughout the years, they all are doing well and earning and taking
Right.
care of their family. So that really makes me feel good.
So how you feel now? How's your real estate grind going?
Um,
Um, and how you feel now that this you in this full time? You're doing it full time.
it feels good, I work every day, but I'm not working on whatever the bank needs. Like I'm working on my projects. I
Mm.
currently have two projects going on right now that
Where in
are just
Baltimore or?
in Baltimore. Like
Hmm.
my goal is to buy two houses a year.
Wow.
And last year 2020, I bought two houses in the third and fourth quarter. One house in the third quarter, one house in the fourth quarter, and those houses are under renovation, and they are kicking my butt.
Wow.
They are kicking my
So let me ask
butt.
you something. Because a lot of people, like Baltimore, to a lot of people, Baltimore is risky. It's about to turn. It's about to come up, and parts of Baltimore still look like it did 5 years ago. And so some people may,
Not 5 years ago, parts of Baltimore still look like The Wire.
wow, wow.
Yeah.
So how do you go, manage those risks in terms of investment in places like Baltimore? How do you assess?
The first answer is scared money don't make money. You
Mm,
know what I'm saying? Like I'm still heavy in the stock market.
okay.
I have my properties in Brooklyn, but for me to buy one property in Brooklyn, I'm gonna have to liquidate most of my stock market portfolio. So with that
Mm,
being said, like in Baltimore, I can save my money from the rent that I collect, and not go on vacation, and basically be able to buy a house in Baltimore. One house I bought in Baltimore, I paid $15,000 for it. It's
Wow.
a two-family house. You
Mm.
know, like those are the kind of numbers that we're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
But scare money don't make money. At the end of the day, you can't sit here and say, well, if I'm scared, I don't want to, I don't know what's gonna happen. Nothing is gonna happen if you don't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first thing. Secondly, Baltimore is rough. Baltimore, a lot of places in Baltimore City look exactly like The Wire. There are
Mm.
open air markets. There's some blocks like this street called Fulton Street where I drive down. The windows are up, the doors are locked, and you just see the line waiting for their fix.
Mm.
Like
Wow,
the houses
really?
get. Oh, bro, Baltimore is rough. And
Mm.
I tell people that know that I invest in Baltimore, they ask me all the time, "Hey, Scotty, um, let me come down with you." I'm like, "Yo, bro, you can come down whenever, but this ain't easy money down here."
Mm.
Like in Baltimore, your tenants, the real estate term is I rent to a lot of workforce housing.
Mm.
So what does workforce housing mean? That means there's people that are part of the workforce. What's the workforce? Not white collar, blue collar. A couple of my tenants work at Amazon, the Amazon fulfillment facility. I got one tenant. She works at the Pandora bracelet facility.
Mm.
One tenant manages a Starbucks. Another tenant manages
Mm.
is a supervisor at Pizza Hut. You know, one tenant she works in this place that basically does laundry for hospitals. These are the type of people that I'm renting to, and the truth is they're good people.
Mm.
But although they're good people, if they get sick, you're not getting your rent that month.
Mm.
These people aren't sitting with tens of. These people are not sitting with $3,000 in their savings account. You
Mm.
know, these people are working,
Check
making
to
their
check.
money, paying the rent, eating, possibly going to the movies every once in a while. But these people are check to check, and it resonates with me because that's how I grew up. So with that being
Mm.
said, I'm not too harsh on my tenants. I understand, and sometimes they're feeding me BS, and I know BS. I don't like the taste of it. So when I get a little BS, I fight back. But I got one tenant. She owes me several months, and she pays me $300 a week.
Mm.
And it's February 5th, so there's another month that just added on. But I know she's not trying to get over. So because
Mm.
I know she's not trying to get over, I'm not beating down her door. But on the inverse, I have no issues evicting if you're trying to get over. I will evict on Christmas Eve and put all of your Christmas gifts out
Mm. Wow.
on the yard if you're purposefully trying to get over and not pay me and
Right.
just trying to get over.
Right.
There are professional tenants. I recently, well, not recently, last year, I got a professional tenant. She's on SSI disability. Her husband is on SSI disability. So when I saw the disability checks, I knew that they weren't gonna work, but the
Mm.
disability checks were coming every month. They paid me the first they paid me the first month's rent, security deposit. They paid me half of the next month. They haven't paid me a dime since. They
Wow.
moved in. They moved in March.
Mm.
It's February.
Mm.
11 months. Not one dime. Not
Right.
one dime. But that's just part of the business.
Yeah, you take
And
you
there's
take you take your gains, you take your losses.
yeah, you take the gains, you take your losses. There's no way in real estate where I'm only gonna make gains. That's not how life works. You
Right.
can't hit every shot, but like you just need to make sure that you have a routine in place where you have the highest chance of hitting the shot that you think.
Mm-hmm.
And like I've done well in terms of what I bought out there. I have two properties under renovation that when they come to market, hopefully I'm going to be able to get good tenants for them, and we should be able to do good on them. I should be able to do good on them. But it's a challenge. I manage my Brooklyn portfolio. I manage my Baltimore portfolio. I'm part of a nonprofit. I co-founded a nonprofit where we're trying to do financial literacy and give back to the community because one
Nice.
thing I one thing I didn't have as a kid growing up is someone to mentor me, someone to provide me some financial literacy, and with the skills and the knowledge that I've acquired over the years, I feel like I can be impactful in someone's life
Oh
and
yeah, I
give back.
mean, I mean, just by you saving your army checks and your corporate checks, and then you dive into real estate and the stock market, and the discipline it takes for you to do that, man. I tip my hat, brother. At
Yeah,
25,
thank
at
you.
25 years old, I mean, people be blowing money fast at 25, buying
Oh,
bottles.
bro, I spent some, bro. Let's not get it twisted. You know,
Right,
I
right.
spent a good coin, but like I never drink.
Mm,
So buying bottles, I don't think I ever bought a. Maybe I did, maybe one or two bottles in the club, but that's never been my thing because I
right,
never drink.
right.
Like my friends would. I had friends that would spend $5,000 at the club
Wow,
every Tuesday.
wow,
Every Tuesday, $5,000 at the club.
wow,
I go. I'd be miserable at work on Wednesday. It'd be a good time, but that's not what I don't drink. Like
wow.
I might drink the pineapple juice,
Right, right.
and that's it. So like growing up, I got this thing where, and I realized that about myself. Whereas I grew up with nothing, so
Mm,
when I started making money, I had to prove to people that I had something.
mm.
So I started buying jewelry, and
Right, right.
like jewelry and watches and clothes and shoes and sneakers. Growing up without, I started to live in excess. Like although I was doing very well and I was doing a lot of saving, I did some spending. Don't get it
Mm,
twisted.
right.
Some of them coins got spent.
Right, right, right. Oh, you gotta enjoy it. You gotta enjoy your coins too.
It makes no sense to work as hard as I was working to not have anything that I can look at and be like, yo, that Rolex right there,
Right,
I
right.
bought that Rolex because of this, and I had the money because of that.
Mm.
Like if you're just working, putting your money away in the stock market, buying real estate, making the money in real estate, buying more real estate,
Yeah, you
then what are
probably
you living
miserable
for?
as hell.
What are you living for? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I was thinking today, what's my hobbies? My hobbies is travel.
Mm.
Like I like to travel. So I've been to like 50 countries and I enjoy
Nice.
that. But you can't die with it.
Right,
Or
right,
you can
right.
die with it, you can't take it with you.
Right, right.
So but don't spend all of it. And I heard people say my last check is gonna bounce. That's probably not gonna be me because it's not about me. I'll be fine, but I just need to make sure that generationally I'm able to leave back. Whereas like I'll have gifts of God. I hope I live to see it, but I have all my mortgages paid off within my lifetime. So
Wow.
with that being said, if I have all my mortgages paid off, what are my kids gonna inherit? You
Mm.
know, they're gonna inherit assets with no debt. You know,
Exactly.
so that's
Exactly.
generational wealth. That's generational wealth. That allows them to be able to make decisions of things that they want to do, pursue passion projects, and live the life that I didn't live as a child. But
Right.
and also as a young adult growing up, if you know that okay, fine, I'm financially safe and secure, I can become a teacher if I want to be, or
Mm.
I can be like my dad and become and get into real estate. But you just have options.
Right.
Growing up, if I told you I have a degree in African American studies, but I couldn't pursue that passion because I gotta eat.
You had to make money. You had to,
I had to make money, and J.P. Morgan came and they
right.
gave me a bag, and I had to take that bag.
Right.
I had
Right.
to.
Right.
I had to.
Common, it's no brainer. So what's your
Yeah.
portfolio look like right now in terms of real estate and stock?
I'm heavy in the stock market. Like, I think I looked at it. I looked at it today. I think I'm up like maybe like 700%.
Mm.
And from, but I've taken out money to buy real estate.
Okay. So where do
I've
you
done
own
it over.
properties now? Brooklyn, Baltimore.
I own in Brooklyn and in Baltimore, and
Right.
my boy sent me. I hate him for this. He sent me a house in Atlanta, and he was like, "Bro, why are
Oh,
we still here?" And I looked at the house and I was like, "Yo, I don't know why I'm still here." Like
wow.
golly. I'm
Wow.
like, golly, this house looks good. But I own in Brooklyn, I own in Baltimore,
A
and
lot
I
of
consider
people is reverse migration right now. They're like leaving the city
oh,
because of pandemic, and they moving to Atlanta, places like Houston, Texas, Austin. A
it
lot
ain't
of
the
people move to
pandemic.
LA.
It ain't the pandemic that's doing this for me. It's the weather. I'm a
Wow.
Haitian kid. I'm a Haitian kid. My knees hurt, bro. My knees are hurting right now. Right now, my
Okay,
knees
so
hurt.
your days in New York are limited, huh?
you know what, like right now as a single person, as a single guy, like I'm here.
Mm.
But if I met someone and they were hell bent on moving to Atlanta, I wouldn't say no.
Right, right,
Yeah, and you don't gotta twist my arm that hard.
right, right, right,
But but
right,
but you know, like I'm from here. You know, like I'm from here, so like like it'll be bittersweet. But like right now, I'm really open to the possibility of
right,
leaving New York City.
right.
3 years ago, I'd be like, nah, you know, and you know, like if I meet someone and they're like, yo, we're gonna live here, we're gonna live in Jersey, that might be it. You know what I'm saying? But like,
Yo,
I
you're gonna
don't
get to
like,
you're gonna get to a stage where you gotta think about good school system. And on the one thing
yeah,
that I mean, I I grew up in Brooklyn, and when I went to college, I realized how much I didn't have.
yes, yes,
you know,
yes,
in terms of around. I mean, I was worried about like not getting robbed and not getting beat up going to school every day. You know what I'm saying? The time
yeah, yeah.
I was growing up,
What high school did you go to?
I went to graphic arts printing.
Okay, got it, got it, got it,
It
got
was
it, got it. I went to
crazy.
Sheepshead Bay.
Okay. Oh, okay. You went Sheepshead. I remember when Sheepshead Bay was all white, but I heard over
Yeah,
time it changed.
yeah, it
Um,
ain't all right no more.
I went to graphic arts, and that's when I don't know if you heard of DCEPs. That's when DCEPs was
the,
running.
the, the Decepticons.
Yeah, man, and
Yeah,
they were headquarters at my job at my high school. So I was trying to dodge dodge a beat down left and right. So
yeah.
I had to learn how to move, bro,
Bro, I
without.
took so. Bro, you was dodging them. I didn't dodge all of them, bro. I did not dodge all of them. I took some weapons, bro. But you know what? That builds character, bro.
Nah,
And
man.
that's
I
what.
want my kids built. I don't want. Yo, listen. I want to be in a good school system where my kids don't have to worry about, getting beat down every day, getting robbed. There's extracurricular activities. They go get
Yeah,
into like
yeah.
various sports programs. They go get in like the debate team. They can, student government. I just, that's, my peers at college. That's what they experience, and like it's not happening in New York unless you got bread like that.
Yo, bro, I didn't even know. Bro, I scored really well in the SATs, bro. I wasn't the
Mm,
best. I wasn't the greatest because being from Brooklyn, I was working in high school. And I went to Sheepshead. I was working over the summers. I was working even during the school years. I was working, and I got involved with the wrong crowd here and there,
I
and
mean,
you can't avoid it
you
because
can't avoid it. You had to survive. That's how
yo
you move.
bro, I could not avoid not getting down for the simple fact that if I didn't get down, I would have got beat down. And I
Exactly.
did take my beatings, bro. Like
Right.
I had a gun my freshman year in high school, I had a gun pulled to my head
Wow.
on the
Wow.
bus. On the
Wow.
bus. You
Wow.
know, my freshman. Oh, listen to this, right? I had a gun pulled to my head on the bus. My freshman year, I got beat bad, bro. I had a black eye for
Wow.
like 2 months. That's how hard I got hit, bro. Like I got
Damn.
bad vision now. That's probably why. But
Wow.
point being, I had a gun put to my head in my freshman year of high school. That summer between my freshman and sophomore year, I was at the park and they tried to shoot me.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Like, bro, I'm 15 years old, bro. I
Exactly.
haven't even, I haven't even lived my life yet, bro.
Exactly.
And I'm in the park, and I'm not supposed to be in the park, and all I heard is boom, and I'm like,
Wow.
oh, and then I see them coming for me.
Wow.
Like, come on,
Yo,
bro. Like,
man.
that ain't cool, bro.
God was
That ain't
looking out,
cool.
brother. God was
Yo,
looking
bro,
out.
God was looking out, and the truth is, like,
You're supposed to
it's I
tell
was
this
doing.
testimony, man. You're supposed to live to tell this testimony, and I'm so glad you telling this story and this journey, because
Yeah, bro.
there's so many people that kids, especially in the area that we grew up, like you said, not exposed. They don't know nothing beyond their block, beyond their borough, and we're lucky enough to get a little bit of exposure, so we know better. So having telling these stories, and when they hear this stuff, it'll be inspiring to them. You know what I mean?
The first time I left Brooklyn was the army, bro.
Mm,
I was born in Brooklyn, raised in Brooklyn, went to high school in Brooklyn, went to college in Brooklyn. No, I'm lying. I started my first year in college in John Jay in Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
But the point being is, I didn't even know, and the guidance counselors at the school, I had good grades, bro.
Mm.
I had good grades, but I wasn't like an A student.
Mm-hmm.
But I was smart. I was smart. I knew I was smart. They knew I was smart.
Mm.
I didn't have to work as hard. I scored really, really well in the SATs, and but nobody told me that, hey, you apply to schools outside of CUNY.
Right. Well,
I applied
listen,
to CUNY.
I
I
can
applied to
relate to
CUNY.
that. You
You
know,
know?
I mean, like I said, I went to one of the wildest school, in graphic arts, and I didn't see my guidance counselor all 4 years because they were busy dealing with, troubled
The,
kids.
the,
And my senior year, oh yeah, you're the top percentile of your class. You think about going to college. That was my guidance counseling, bro. That was my
yeah,
guidance counseling, so I could relate.
it's crazy, yo, because I graduated high school actually early.
Mm,
I think I graduated high school in 3 years,
mm,
and and because I graduated high school in 3 years, I never like I had enough credits to graduate in 3 years, and I was fighting too much
mm.
that I was like, yo, this shit ain't worth it. Let me just go work. I had a job at Macy's at the time, so like I had enough credits. So I'm like, yo, I'm gone. I never went to the prom, never went to senior trip,
Wow.
never did
You
any
didn't
of
really
that. Senior,
enjoy your high school. You didn't
oh
really
no,
have
no.
to. I mean,
But
go ahead.
because of that, no one ever told me about college.
Right. Okay.
My mom wasn't gonna tell me, but
Right.
it was
Right.
just like, yo, all right, I want to be a lawyer. All right, cool. Well, I'll go to John Jay College of Criminal Justice because that's where I can
Right.
go.
Right.
Like that's it. So when I got to John Jay, I realized that I didn't particularly like going to Manhattan every day, so I transferred.
Mm. To Brooklyn College.
Yeah, I got into a program and transferred to Brooklyn College, and I was a lot more comfortable because I was able to walk to school, walk to college.
Right. Right. Nice.
But it's funny because I'm in college, but I'm hanging out. Well, the Brooklyn College is in Flatbush, right?
Mm. Right.
I grew up in Flatbush, so I'm in college. But when I go outside to go eat lunch, I'm hanging out with the people that were doing the crime and the drugs,
Right.
and
Right. Right. Right.
but those are the people that I knew. So like going to the military, it kind of like widened my horizon and said, okay, there's other things in this world. So it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like although I'm in college and I graduated college early too. Well, not early, but I didn't graduate in 8 semesters. I think I did
Right.
like 7 or 6.5, 7. But obviously, like I went away, and I was like, all right, cool. I just can't do what my friends are doing. My friends are selling drugs, and they transitioned from selling weed to selling things that were a little bit harder than weed. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, bro, what is this? I'm like the first time I saw drugs harder than weed. I'm like, yo, if I touch this, I'm gonna get nah, bro, I ain't touching it. You
Wow.
know what I'm saying? And
How
and
do
that's
you
the
how
truth.
you avoid not drinking, and what made you?
I never. I'm gonna tell you why I didn't smoke weed because I was conscious of why, and the drinking part. I never. I don't like the taste of alcohol,
Mm,
and I don't like being drunk. I don't like being hungover. I don't like how it feels, and alcohol is a downer for me, not a
mm,
stimulant. So if I drink alcohol, I'll go to sleep.
mm.
So it makes
Oh
no sense for me
wow.
to be. Yeah, it makes no sense for me to be in a club drinking because it's gonna make me sleepy.
Right.
I don't want to sleep. You know.
Right.
As far as weed, I never smoked weed, and the reasoning why is a couple things. One, I didn't have money growing up to be able to chip in.
Mm.
My team.
You didn't
And
have five
two,
on it.
yeah, I didn't have five on it, and although I was poor, I was prideful.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I didn't want to freeload.
Right.
And the other
Right.
thing is, I didn't like how when you're smoking with people and they do this.
Ah. Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
like that. To me, that
Yeah.
was just like nasty. Like, what are you doing? Like, I'm good on
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
So with that means that I never got into it, and because I never got into it as a kid, it's just like it's not for me.
Nice. Yo, it's
So that's
dope that I mean, I know you're grateful now that you never really got succumbed to peer pressure because I think
oh
we're at a state.
the peer pressure was there, bro. Like everyone was doing it, and it was like, yo, what's wrong with this guy? I'm like,
Right.
ah, I'm
Right.
good, bro. I'm good. I'm
I
good.
mean, we're at a stage right now where people are paying for that right now. All the stuff that they did recklessly when they're young,
Yeah,
health right
yeah,
now, we're focusing on health and making sure, our diet is good, our blood pressure is good, our
Yeah.
cholesterol is good, and everything else is good. So man, you made some really great decisions. Let me wrap up, but before we wrap up, what advice you think you could share with either somebody who grew up in an environment that you grew up in, or someone who's in corporate America who's not happy, and they're done with code switching. What advice would you give them to, like, escape those environments?
You gotta have a plan. Like I didn't buy my first house. I didn't buy my first co-op and decided, you know what, I'm out. I didn't buy my first house and said I'm out. Like I was able to put in my time, and I bought my first house, and I started working in corporate America in 2006. In June 2006, I bought my first house in 2008.
Mm,
And then I started building on from there. You gotta have a plan,
mm,
and the thing with corporate America is if you don't have a plan for your exit, they're gonna tell you when it's your time to go.
mm,
And
mm,
I didn't like. I was unhappy at work, and I knew that it's gonna start showing.
mm.
So I made a plan. I
You
did
made
the
a
math.
plan and beat them to the punch.
Yeah, I did the math. How much money do I need? What will happen? Like what can I live on? I'm a single guy by myself, so I can live very very lean. I
Mm-hmm.
can go back to the tuna fish days. Thankfully, I don't have to, but if it's necessary, I can. Like I didn't have to make decisions for anyone else because I didn't have a wife to
Mm.
to 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 basically I didn't have a partner. It was just me. So I was like, all right, cool. This is how much money I'm making here, and I had an Excel spreadsheet, and I knew exactly
Wow.
how much.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, I knew
You got to
exactly
go
how much
that
money I was
detail,
making.
huh?
Of course, because like one year I remember my accountant told me that I had to pay like six figures in taxes, and I was hot. I was
Mm.
like, six figures in taxes? Are you crazy? He was like, yo, Scotty, shut up. He's like, yo, you pay a lot because you made a lot.
Mm.
And then I'm like, well, how much did I make? And he had to show me how much I made. And because I didn't know how much I made, I'm like, yo, I can't let it be. Whereas I don't know how much money I made
Mm.
in this year. Like it makes no sense. So that's when I got really diligent about keeping records, figuring out how much rent I'm collecting, figure out what my expenses are, figure out my mortgages are, figure out my net worth, and so on and so forth. And then figuring out, okay, this is my annual salary divided by 24, which would by monthly pay periods. Oh, okay, this is what I'm making every month. Oh, and this is what I'm making in real estate. Oh, this real estate number is higher than this bank number. Oh, okay. But this bank gets 80% of my time. Oh,
Mm.
okay. That doesn't
Mm.
make sense. How can I
Mm.
change that dynamic? Oh, okay, cool. These are the things I can do. Beyond that, like it's just a matter of you need to have a plan. You need to set the plan in motion. And although I wouldn't recommend people start buying houses in Brooklyn, New York today, because
Mhm.
I think they're a little bit overpriced.
Mhm.
You're paying too big of a premium. I think there's other markets that you can invest in. You can invest in Newark. I tell everyone that I speak to that's like, hey, I want to buy a house. I got three, four, five, $600,000 in terms of a pre-qualification. Where should I buy? I'm like, go to Newark. You know
Mm.
what I'm saying? It takes you half an hour to get from Newark to Manhattan. Most
Mm.
people work in Manhattan. It takes you half an hour to get from, at minimum, half an hour to get from some parts of Brooklyn to Manhattan. From where you lived on 52nd, it took you had to take the bus
Yeah.
or the dollar van or
Yeah.
the train
Yeah.
and to Wall Street. But
Exactly.
imagine living in Midtown. So that's an
Right.
hour right there. So with
Right.
that being said, you can find value in Newark. You can
Mm.
find values in different towns in New Jersey. You could even find like there's still value in like Union, even Jersey City and Hoboken, where you could find something that is a lot more affordable than you would in Brooklyn.
Right.
And the truth of the matter is, if it takes you half hour to get to work, people are going to want to live there.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
That's it. And then like if you're really about that life and you want to start investing out of state, and your money goes a lot further in places like Ohio, Baltimore, Florida, the whole Midwest. Tennessee. Like I know a lot of people that are doing well in all of those cities, all of those states. So, like if you're really about that life, you got to figure out, first of all, what your risk appetite is. With me,
Mm,
like I don't like flipping because every house I ever sold, I regret it. So with
mm,
that being said, I'm a buy and hold investor. I
mm.
buy it, I hold it, I hold on to it, and I keep it. I keep it and collect rent. So you got to figure out what you're trying to collect in rent, what your monthly expenses are, and if the delta is good enough for you, and you're able to mitigate oh there's a water leak. I got to get on a plane from my house in New York to go to Cleveland.
Mhm.
If you can figure out ways to mitigate you having to get on a plane every time there's an issue, pull the trigger.
Mm.
Pull the trigger. Do one. If you make $500, $1,000 a month on one, and you're still working, and you're taking that $1,000 and you're putting it away, and you're working, and if you're married, you and your spouse, y'all are working, y'all saving money, you buy two. Next thing you know, you wake up in 5 years, you got five properties. You
Wow.
know, and that's somebody's check that might
Mm.
allow your wife not to work. But you still
Mm.
working, but your wife doesn't work because you guys are collecting $6,000 a month net in rental income.
Right.
So that's one thing you could do. Like, but you gotta find your market. You gotta find your niche. A lot of people
How
I know
how
you guys.
how for anybody who's kind of novel to real estate, where you think they could get some information in terms of really doing their research and doing getting enough knowledge to start out.
I personally I'm a big podcast listener.
Mm.
I listen to your podcast. There's a couple of real estate based podcasts that I listen to. Bigger
Mm.
pockets.
Mm.
Every question that you can think of that you have about real estate, they've discussed it. Every market, every territory, every type of investment asset, they they've spoken about it on their podcast. So
Mm.
I would take a look at bigger pockets, and there's real estate meetups in your local communities where like New York investors all meet up and talk and exchange
Mm.
ideas and network. Like or if you're in Baltimore, like there's real estate groups in Baltimore.
Mm.
Like I follow them on Facebook, I follow them on Instagram.
Okay.
And I get maybe like 20, 30 deals a week in my inbox.
Wow.
And I can't buy them all.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
So it's like I know what a deal is, and I know the market. I know what a deal is. I know what's not a deal. I know what things should rent for.
And
I
that
know how
all
much.
took like you doing it and do your due diligence, and also took time for you to kind of.
Yeah, you gotta do the book work, but you also gotta do the footwork.
Mm.
The book work. You doing research. You going online, Google, so on and so forth. The footwork is you gotta be in the ground, bro,
Mm.
because or
You
you
gotta
gotta
know
have
the
people
hood
in
you're
the.
investing in.
You gotta know the hood, bro, because at the end of the day, you don't want to buy the house that three people got shot and killed in 6 months ago.
Right.
You don't want that house.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You don't want the house next door to the crack house.
Mm.
Because you'll never get a good tenant. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
You don't want the house on the open air block because
Right.
every tenant you get is gonna be a customer for the drugs outside. And one
Right.
thing about crackheads, they love their crack more than they love their shelter. You know what I'm saying? So
Right. Right. Right.
you don't want that smoke. So with
Right.
that being said, you can't sit. I can't sit in my apartment in Brooklyn and be like, yo, I'm gonna buy this house on sight unseen in Baltimore. I have people on the ground. I have contractors. I have property managers. I have people that resources that I use that they know me. I know them. They know what
Mm.
I like, and I can be like, hey, Al, go take a look at this. Let me know what you think. You think it's a good idea?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
The last two houses I bought them sight unseen.
Mm.
But that's because I've had 4.5, 5 years of cultivating relationships where the people that I've cultivated these relationships with, they know what I want, they know what I like, they know what I
Mm.
don't like, and they know like Scotty, this is a good deal for you. Let's go. Scotty, this isn't for you. Next,
Right.
you know, and you got to pick
Yo.
the people.
Yo, dog, man. We've been talking for over an hour and a half right now, and I gotta wind it
Yeah.
down. But yo, man, you should continue telling your story, bro. You need to be talking at these high schools and colleges, because I feel like your journey is dope, and a lot of people will be inspired by it, man. So
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I am part of the nonprofit, the BrooklynBank.org, and that's one of the things that we do. My partners and I, we're all real estate investors. We've all done extremely well for ourselves, but we realize that it doesn't make sense if you're doing well for yourself when your people are hurting.
mm,
So with that being said, we've definitely focused on providing financial literacy in terms of courses. We speak at schools. We speak at we our headquarters. We hold events, and with the ethos of like providing the knowledge because we're not inherently born with the knowledge, and we
mm,
don't have the people that acquired the knowledge before us passing it on. So if I have it, I'll give it to you.
right. Yo, how could people find out about that nonprofit and anything else you're involved with?
Um, like you can follow me on IG on Facebook. My IG is I am Scotty.
Scotty,
Yeah,
Cadi.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Oh,
So it's
Scadi.
it's I am Scotty. I am Scadi. Scotty. That's my IG. You can definitely follow me on there. It's the nonprofit is the Brooklyn Bank. So it's a nonprofit that I'm part of, like I'm co-founded with a couple other real estate investors. Um, you know, um, and the truth is, Kelsey, like as you know, like I'm very active. If you reach out to me, yeah, like you reach out to me on this podcast, I'm like, all right, let's do it. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right.
Like
Yeah, you were very responsive, bro. I appreciate that.
look, I'm very open. Like I don't work a full time job, but because of that, I'm able to do a lot of giving back and philanthropic work, whereas it's needed in the communities. And you can definitely reach out to me. Add me on IG. If you add me on IG, you tell me you got a question, I'll give you my number.
Right,
You know,
right,
like,
right. Yeah,
like,
man.
like
I'm glad you were able to share it because some people hoard it and whatnot.
yeah.
So I'm glad
What's the
you.
sense of me having it and not giving it?
Right,
Who am I helping?
right,
Like
right.
I don't want to be like taking it back to when I worked at the bank, right? I don't want to be in that room by myself.
Mm, mm. I know
You
how
know,
that feeling is, bro.
I,
And you
I don't
you,
want to
you
be
don't
in that
have
room.
nobody to make some real jokes with or really talk to. You
Yeah.
gotta you gotta like do that fake laugh and.
Yeah, Bob, that was real funny, Bob. Fuck out of
we
here.
all we all did that, bro. Yo, man, listen,
And I don't
man.
do it no more, bro. I ain't doing it, bro. I'm not
Yo,
doing it no more,
man.
bro.
Congratulations, man. Congratulations. I hope when people hear this, your journey, they'll inspired to kind of follow your suit and liberate themselves before they liberate you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
dropped knowledge right there. He said, if you don't make a plan to liberate yourself from corporate America will make a plan to liberate you. So
yeah,
that's facts too.
yeah. When it's your turn, it's your turn. They don't. When I left my last job, the guy that got the job, the guy that replaced me, we worked at JP Morgan together, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this guy is probably like 60,
Mm.
but like he's like 60 years old, and he worked JP Morgan for like 40 years, right?
Wow.
Like 35, 40 years, right? He took the job, and I ran into my former colleague the other day in Harlem, and she was telling me that he got laid off,
Wow.
but he just bought a house.
Wow.
They don't care about you,
Right.
you
Yo,
know.
man, go in,
They don't care about you.
go
This
in.
guy has a family. Like he has young kids, two young kids, and they just laid him off. And it's
Mm,
like he just bought a house, and now what?
mm.
Now what?
Right.
And here's the problem, right? He's not in his 60s. He's probably in his 50s. Ain't nobody looking to hire someone in their 50s
Right.
when you hire someone in their 20s or even
Mm-hmm.
30s
And paying
for half
less.
the money.
Right.
So
Yeah.
what is this guy gonna do?
Right. And that's why I'm glad you're sharing your story because a lot of people in corporate America don't know how to move and they don't know how to figure out their exit plan. So you sharing how you did it is definitely people gonna be taking notes and
Yeah,
following your example, bro. So appreciate it, man. Thank you for sharing your journey.
yeah, for sure.
Scotty, I am Scotty at on IG, and what's the nonprofit again?
TheBrooklynBank.org.
The brooklynbrand.org, man. Thank you, bro. We've been talking for over an hour and a half. So And I have
Yeah.
actually I have some really more questions more in real estate, but I'm like, nah, I think this is enough for now. We could probably
Yo,
do part
bro.
two or something.
Yeah, bro. We could definitely do a part two. You could definitely reach out to me on a personal level. Like, I'm down, bro. I'm down for whatever, bro. I've
Yo,
known you for
man, I
15
mean,
years.
keep doing your thing, bro. You a unique individual in so many different ways, and you a blessed individual, man. And I love it that you also position yourself to bless others, bro.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
It ain't no
I
fun.
see this cat in parties. We chilling, we make jokes or whatever, but never really knew his journey, man. So I'm glad. I love having these conversations because I really get to know the people that I've been friends with
Yeah.
over the years. So appreciate it, man.
15 years, Calfee.
It's
15
been a
years.
minute. It's been a minute.
Yeah, yeah. And the last thing is, it ain't no fun up there by yourself, bro. It
Wow.
ain't no fun.
Yeah,
It
man.
ain't no
I
fun.
can relate to that. I can relate to that. When you're the only person in the room, you're like,
Hmm.
wow. You feel uncomfortable. You feel like you gotta stay on your A game. You can't relax. You can't do nothing because everyone is watching you to, expecting you to f up. You know.
Yeah, yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah. So figure out your exit strategy before out of corporate America before they figure it out for you. All right,
Yeah.
man.
All right,
Appreciate it.
all right, Calfee.
All right, peace.